Good morning, guys. I hope that you are all doing well. I am. Feeling great, feeling fine. Wish I could be there, but I can't, so I'm there in prayer and spirit. I do miss you guys. So, we're going to pick up with our discussion on linking verbs. But before we do that, we're going to go over the homework that you were given last night on linking verbs. So, get your pages out. Go ahead and exchange it with someone near you. Write the name at the bottom of the paper as greater. Write your name at the bottom as greater. And let's go over the right answers. Okay, so in the, let me get to the right page here. All right, so we were going over the difference between action verbs and linking verbs. So in the first section, you had to underline the simple subject once, underline the verb twice, and if the verb was a linking verb, you had to draw an arrow back from the predicate noun or the predicate adjective back to the subject that it's connected with. So let's look at number one. Number one says, Eli's family visited Grand Canyon National Park last summer. So, what is the subject of the sentence? Who or what is doing the action? It's family. Eli's is a describing word telling you whose family, but the subject is family, so family should be underlined once. What did they do? They visited. So visited should be underlined twice. Let's look at number two. The canyon was vast. Well, in this sentence, we have a linking verb because was is on our linking verb list. So was should be underlined twice. And the subject of the sentence is canyon. So what word is being connected back to canyon? It's vast. Vast means big, ginormous. And so there should be an arrow that connects vast back to canyon. If the person you're grading has missed either the subject, the verb, or the arrow, it's minus a third. So if they miss only one of those parts, it's minus a third. If they miss two, it's minus 2/3, and obviously if they miss all three, then it's all wrong. All right, let's look at number 3. Eli felt very small at the giant park. Eli is the subject. Now, felt can be an action, but does the sentence say that Eli is actually touching something? No, it's telling you how Eli felt. He felt small. So, felt in this case is a linking verb. So, there is a word that's going to be linked back to Eli that describes Eli. So, Eli is your subject, felt is your verb, and then the word that is connected back to Eli is small. So, you should have Eli underlined once, felt underlined twice, and an arrow going from small back to Eli. Number 4, his brothers rode the tram to the bottom of the canyon. Okay, well, the verb in this sentence is rode. It's an action. It doesn't come up on our linking verb list. So, rode should be underlined twice. Who did the riding? Brothers. His is a describing word telling whose brothers. So, brothers should be the word underlined once. Number 5. Eli's mother is a teacher. Okay, so we know is on our linking verb list, so that means we should be looking to connect something back to the subject. The subject is mother, verb is, and teacher is the word that renames mother. So there should be an arrow going from teacher back to mother. Number 6, she took pictures of the park for her students. Well, took is your verb, so that should be underlined twice, and that is an action verb, so there's no words to connect back to the subject. Who did the taking? She did. So she is the subject, took is the verb, and there is no arrow in this sentence. Number 8, his family was tired after the long hike along the canyon edge. And so, again, we know that was is part of our linking verb list, so we need to be looking for a word that will go back to the subject. Family is the subject, was is the verb, and what word describes family? Tired. Tired should have an arrow connecting it back to family. Number 9, the canyon seemed bottomless in the fading daylight. Okay, seemed was one of those words that it was in the purple bubble that said it can also be used as a linking verb, and in this case it is because the canyon cannot do any action. So the subject is canyon, seemed is your linking verb, and what word is being linked back to canyon? It's bottomless. It's a describing word describing canyon. So there should be an arrow going from bottomless back to canyon. And number 10, they thanked God for his beautiful creation. We know that thanked is an action verb, so now we're only looking for the subject. Who did the thanking? It was they. So they should be underlined once and thanked underlined twice. All right, now let's look at our diagrams. We had to diagram the given sentences. Number 11 says, Eli's family ate dinner at a restaurant that evening. Ate is your verb. It's an action verb, so there's no other words that need to be added. Who did the eating? Family. So your diagram should have family and then ate in the two blanks. Number 12, the giant hamburgers smelled delicious. Okay, so these are one of those sensory words that can be used as linking verb. And we know that hamburgers don't have noses to smell anything, so we know that this is a linking verb sentence. Hamburgers is your subject, smelled is your verb, and what is being linked back to hamburgers? Delicious. Now, please pay attention on your paper, because if the person you're grading did not do the diagonal line, okay, then it is minus a quarter. Okay, the line has to be diagonal. They have to get the subject right, the verb right, and the predicate adjective right, and they have to get that diagonal line. Okay, very, very important. Number 13, the frosty malts were refreshing after the dust of the canyon. Okay, so we know that were is a linking verb. So we're going to be looking for a word that describes or renames malts, and that word is refreshing. So malts should go in your subject spot. Were should go in the verb. You should have a diagonal line, and then refreshing should be the predicate adjective that you have in your diagram. And the last sentence, their waitress was a fan of football. Again, we know that was is a linking verb, so we are looking for a word, excuse me, a word that goes back to describe or rename waitress, and that word is fan. So you should have waitress in the subject, was in the verb, and fan as a predicate noun, and again, make sure that line is diagonal. Okay, I'm going to have Mrs. Flippo stop the video here and collect the papers. Return the papers to their owners so they can see how they did. And then Mrs. Flippo will collect the papers, and then she'll restart the video so we can go on to our next lesson. Okay, now let's go ahead on over to our next lesson, which is located on page 83, and we're going to continue our talk about linking verbs. If you look up here on my screen, or that I have some sentences, again, reviewing what we learned yesterday, we have two different kinds of verbs. we have a action verb, and let's go up here and highlight it. And then we have a linking verb. And we said, what is an action verb? Well, hopefully you all said that means the subject is actually doing something, and that would be right. And what did we say a linking verb was? Mrs. Flippo, I hope what they said is that it is a verb that links a noun or an adjective back to the subject. But let's go ahead and look at that yellow box at the top of page 83 where it says, linking verb tells what the subject is by linking the subject to a noun or an adjective in the predicate part of the sentence. And I explained this to you yesterday, that the reason why we call the noun or the adjective that comes after the linking verb a predicate noun or a predicate adjective is because if we were going to put a dividing line in and divide our complete subject from our complete predicate, that predicate adjective and predicate noun would go along in the predicate portion of the sentence. If you keep reading on page 83, it says a predicate noun renames the subject. It says here, Tara is a player for the Bears. So player is another noun, and it renames who Tara is. And then a predicate adjective describes the subject. The referee feels tired after the game. And here you have feels. Yes, that can be an action verb if I'm feeling a table, if I'm feeling a soft, cuddly kitten. But in this case, it's talking about my state of being. So the referee's state of being is that he is tired. So if you look up here at my sentences on the board, you'll see right here, the soup tastes salty to me. Well, we know that soup can't taste, so this is a linking verb. And what is it linking back? Oh, let's make it blue this time. What's it linking back to the subject? The subject is soup. And what is the soup tasting like? It's tasting salty. Salty is a predicate adjective describing the flavor of the soup. Zoe feels tired after practice. So again, she's not actually doing the action of feeling. She is, her state of being is she is, oops, I think I just messed that up. Let's go undo. Everybody remember our undo button from computer class? Let's try this again. Feels is our linking verb telling you her state of being that she feels tired. And then again, we have is, and we know that is a linking verb because it's part of our list. And this time, John is what? He's a fireman. Fireman is a noun that renames John. Okay, now, let's look at these sentences because we're going to do some sentence pattern identification. So I'm going to give myself a space. And we said that soup was our subject in that cool, and we said that tastes was our linking verb, so I'm going to put an LV there for linking verb, move it over, and then we said that salty was a describing word, so that makes it an adjective, so that becomes a PA. Let's go down to this sentence. You have Zoe. Zoe is the subject of our sentence. And then feels, again, we said is a linking verb. And tired. is our predicate adjective.